Welcome to Framework, the podcast that makes the NIST cybersecurity framework practical, engaging, and accessible. Whether you're a cybersecurity professional, business leader, or simply curious about how organizations defend against cyber threats, this series is for you. This podcast is inspired by a comprehensive guide to the NIST Cybersecurity Framework 2.0, a best-selling resource written by cybersecurity expert Dr. Jason Edwards and trusted by professionals worldwide. In each episode, we'll leverage a few insights from Jason's extensive book to dive deep into CSF 2.0, unpacking every function, category, and subcategory with real-world applications you can immediately use. If you're enjoying this episode and want to learn more, head over to cyberauthor.me to grab your copy of the book and access additional resources to enhance your cybersecurity journey. You can also visit baremetalcyber.com, where over 2 million people last year explored expert insights, articles, and practical tools across a wide range of cybersecurity topics. PR.PS-04 personnel security responsibilities are understood. PR.PS-04 ensures that personnel across an organization understand their security responsibilities, obligations, and the role they play in protecting sensitive data and systems. This subcategory belongs to the Protect function within the National Institute of Standards and Technology Cybersecurity Framework, version 2.0, emphasizing that cybersecurity is not solely the responsibility of IT or security teams. Instead, every employee, contractor, and third-party vendor must be aware of security policies, acceptable use guidelines, and risk mitigation expectations to maintain a strong cybersecurity posture. Clear and enforceable personnel security responsibilities help prevent data breaches, insider threats, and human error incidents. Many cybersecurity incidents result from negligent actions, lack of awareness, or failure to follow security best practices. By ensuring that personnel fully understand their responsibilities regarding data protection, access control, and risk management, organizations reduce the likelihood of accidental data leaks, misconfigurations, or social engineering attacks. When employees are properly trained and held accountable for their security actions, they serve as the first line of defense against cyber threats. Multiple stakeholders play a role in defining, communicating, and enforcing personnel security responsibilities. Human resources teams oversee the onboarding process, ensuring that employees receive training on security policies, data protection obligations, and acceptable use requirements. Security and compliance teams define and enforce security responsibilities, ensuring that personnel adhere to organizational policies, regulatory frameworks, and contractual security agreements. Executive leadership and department heads reinforce security expectations, ensuring that cybersecurity is prioritized across business units and not treated as an isolated IT function. Personnel security responsibilities are understood when employees and contractors know their obligations, follow security policies, and adhere to cybersecurity best practices in their daily activities. This includes proper handling of sensitive data, adherence to access control policies, secure password management, and compliance with acceptable use guidelines. Ensuring that personnel understand how their actions impact organizational security reduces accidental insider threats, negligent data handling, and exposure to phishing attacks. Several key terms define personnel security responsibilities and their role in cybersecurity. Acceptable use policies establish the rules for accessing company networks, using corporate devices, and handling sensitive data. Security awareness training provides employees with knowledge about phishing, social engineering, and secure computing practices. Least privilege access ensures that employees are granted only the minimum access required to perform their jobs, reducing the risk of unauthorized data exposure. Incident reporting procedures define how personnel reports suspicious activity, security breaches, or data leaks to security teams. Data classification policies ensure that employees understand how to properly label, store, and share sensitive data, preventing accidental exposure or unauthorized access. The misconceptions about personnel security responsibilities often lead to gaps in security awareness, poor compliance, and increased risk exposure. One common issue is assuming that only IT and security teams are responsible for cybersecurity, leading non-technical employees to ignore security policies. Another issue is failing to enforce security policies consistently, where some employees are held accountable for security violations while others are not, leading to a culture of negligence. Some organizations mistakenly believe that one-time security training is sufficient without reinforcing security awareness through ongoing education, phishing simulations, or updated training materials. When personnel security responsibilities are clearly understood, organizations benefit from a stronger security culture, reduce risk of human error, and improve compliance with industry regulations. Employees who know their role in cybersecurity are more likely to follow security policies, recognize threats, and take proactive measures to protect data. Organizations that prioritize security education and accountability create a workforce that actively contributes to risk reduction, regulatory compliance, and overall cybersecurity resilience. Organizations that fail to ensure personnel security responsibilities are understood expose themselves to increased risks of data breaches, insider threats, and compliance violations. Without proper education and accountability, employees may unknowingly engage in risky behaviors, such as sharing passwords, clicking on phishing links, or storing sensitive data in unsecured locations. A lack of understanding can also lead to accidental policy violations, where employees misuse company resources, install unauthorized software, or access restricted systems without realizing the security implications. Additionally, organizations that do not clearly communicate security responsibilities struggle to enforce policies, leading to inconsistent adherence and security gaps across departments. Conversely, organizations that effectively define and communicate security responsibilities experience fewer security incidents, improve compliance, and stronger workforce engagement in cybersecurity practices. Employees who understand how their actions impact cybersecurity are more likely to follow secure procedures, recognize and report threats, and protect company assets. Clear communication of security policies ensures consistent enforcement, reducing the likelihood of policy violations and insider risks. Furthermore, organizations that integrate ongoing security training and awareness programs build a proactive security culture where employees actively contribute to threat prevention and risk mitigation. At the partial tier, organizations may lack formal security training programs, relying on assumptions that employees will follow best practices without structured guidance. Security policies may exist, but they are not consistently communicated or enforced, leading to widespread misunderstandings and inconsistent security awareness. A small business at this level might have an employee handbook that briefly mentions security policies, but without formal training or enforcement mechanisms, employees may ignore or misunderstand their responsibilities, increasing the risk of accidental security violations. At the risk-informed tier, organizations begin to introduce structured security training programs and documented policies, ensuring that employees receive some level of cybersecurity education. However, security responsibilities may still be communicated inconsistently, and employees may not fully understand how policies apply to their daily activities. A mid-sized company at this level may conduct annual security awareness training but fail to reinforce security principles through ongoing phishing tests, policy refreshers, or scenario-based learning, leaving gaps in employee engagement and policy adherence. At the repeatable tier, organizations establish comprehensive security education programs, ensuring that security responsibilities are clearly defined, consistently communicated, and enforced across all departments. Employees and contractors receive role-specific security training, ensuring that individuals handling sensitive financial data, medical records, or privileged accounts understand the risks associated with their access and responsibilities. A financial institution at this stage may require quarterly security refresher courses, phishing awareness tests, and interactive training exercises, reinforcing personnel security obligations through real-world scenarios. At the adaptive tier, organizations integrate continuous security education, real-time policy enforcement, and automated risk assessments to ensure that security responsibilities evolve alongside emerging cyber threats. Security training is personalized and adaptive, using AI-driven platforms to assess employee behavior, identify knowledge gaps, and deliver customized training modules. A global technology firm at this level may dynamically adjust access controls and policy reminders based on user behavior, ensuring that employees receive contextual security alerts and just-in-time security training when they attempt high-risk actions. Personnel security responsibilities align with multiple controls in the National Institute of Standards and Technology Special Publication 800-53, ensuring that organizations establish structured workforce security policies and training programs. One key control is AT-2, Security Awareness Training, which requires organizations to educate employees on cybersecurity risks, policies, and incident response procedures. A healthcare provider implementing this control may conduct mandatory security awareness training for all employees, ensuring that staff handling patient data understand HIPAA security requirements, social engineering risks, and secure data storage practices. Another relevant control is PS.07 Insider Threat Program, which requires organizations to proactively assess and mitigate risks posed by employees, contractors, and third-party vendors. This ensures that personnel security responsibilities include understanding the consequences of policy violations, reporting suspicious behavior, and adhering to strict access control policies. A defense contractor implementing this control may conduct ongoing employee behavior analysis, privilege monitoring, and insider risk assessments, ensuring that employees understand and adhere to security expectations. Personnel security responsibilities also align with IA-5 Authenticator Management, which ensures that employees understand secure authentication practices, including multi-factor authentication, MFA, password security, and identity verification protocols. This control requires organizations to train personnel on how to manage authentication credentials responsibly, reducing the risk of password reuse, credential theft, and unauthorized access. A financial institution implementing this control may require employees to use strong, unique passwords, regularly update credentials, and authenticate logins using biometric or hardware-based MFA methods to prevent account compromise. These controls can be adapted based on organizational size, industry, and workforce structure. A small business may implement basic security policies and annual training, ensuring that employees understand the importance of secure data handling and proper authentication methods. A large enterprise may develop a fully integrated security awareness program, leveraging AI-driven monitoring, phishing simulations, and dynamic policy enforcement to reinforce cybersecurity responsibilities in real time. Organizations operating in highly regulated industries such as healthcare, finance, and defense may require customized training based on regulatory requirements, job roles, and access privileges, ensuring that employees handling sensitive data understand their security obligations in detail. Auditors assess personnel security responsibility programs by reviewing whether structured security training, policy communication, and workforce security enforcement measures are consistently applied. They examine whether employees are regularly trained, tested, and evaluated on their security knowledge and adherence to policies. If an organization lacks structured training programs or fails to enforce security policies consistently, auditors may issue findings highlighting insufficient workforce security controls, non-compliance with training requirements, or increased insider risk exposure. To verify compliance, auditors seek specific types of evidence. Security training completion records and attendance logs demonstrate that employees have been educated on cybersecurity policies and responsibilities. Policy acknowledgement forms provide proof that personnel have read, understood, and agreed to follow security guidelines. Phishing test reports and insider threat monitoring logs show whether organizations actively assess personnel security awareness, detect risky behaviors, and reinforce cybersecurity expectations over time. A compliance success scenario could involve a technology firm that undergoes an audit and provides detailed records showing that all employees receive security training every quarter, acknowledge security policies annually, and participate in phishing simulations to reinforce awareness. Auditors confirm that security policies are clearly communicated. Employees demonstrate a strong understanding of cybersecurity responsibilities, and security incidents caused by human error have decreased over time. In contrast, an organization that fails to document security training efforts or does not enforce workforce security policies may receive findings for weak personnel security controls, increased risk of accidental data exposure, and a lack of employee accountability for cybersecurity practices. Organizations face multiple barriers in implementing effective personnel security responsibility programs. One major challenge is a lack of employee engagement, where personnel view security training as a compliance requirement rather than an essential part of their role, leading to minimal retention of cybersecurity knowledge and poor adherence to security policies. Another challenge is inconsistent policy enforcement, where organizations fail to hold employees accountable for security violations, leading to a culture where security policies are ignored or considered optional. A final challenge is insufficient investment in security training, where organizations do not allocate sufficient resources to develop engaging, role-specific training programs, resulting in low effectiveness and reduced awareness of security responsibility. Organizations can overcome these barriers by integrating security responsibilities into job descriptions, implementing adaptive security training programs, and enforcing security policies with measurable accountability metrics. Investing in interactive cybersecurity education tools, AI-driven risk assessments, and gamified security awareness platforms helps ensure that employees actively engage with training materials and retain critical security knowledge. Standardizing security policies across all departments and workforce categories ensures that every employee, contractor, and third-party vendor follows the same security expectations, reducing human security risks. By embedding personnel security responsibilities into overall risk management strategies, organizations can foster a security-conscious workforce, minimize insider threats, and maintain a resilient cybersecurity posture. That wraps up today's discussion on Framework. Don't stop here. Head over to cyberauthor.me to explore more cybersecurity topics and discover a best-selling book covering NIST and other critical cyber frameworks. Please like, rate, and review this episode on Apple and Spotify. Until next time, remember that knowledge is power.